let me tell you, if you're going to ever be successful at anything that you put your hands to in life, you're going to have to learn to be resilient. You're going to have to learn to bounce back, to spring back. You can't let a failure mess you up and say, you know what, I guess I wasn't cut out for this. You know, can you imagine what would have happened to Michael Jordan had he listened to a high school coach that told him he didn't have what it took? Had he listened to somebody else creating his world too small for him? He was resilient. You've got to have something that allows you to be able to bounce back, to recover from, and adjust easily to misfortune or change, and then keep going in the face of adversity. You've got to be resilient. You've got to be resilient. Love requires resilience. You can't be in a relationship with somebody and they don't know how to bounce back, because they get bent out of shape because you made a mistake. It's just going to be a matter of time. Nobody's perfect. You're going to end up offending each other in a relationship. The maturity of marriage is being able to learn how to forgive each other. Divorce oftentimes is a result of people unwillingness or refusal to forgive each other. They're just worn out, and they've lost their resiliency in that area. The resiliency, the ability to recover from or easily adjust to misfortune or change, and to keep going in the face of adversity. We have to become a resilient people, a resilient people. Alain de Botton said, a good half of the art of living is resilience. A good half of the art of living is resilience. And this is what I want you to see about resilience. Resilience is only activated by and can only be expressed during difficult times. You can only experience resilience during difficult times. When life is peaceful and unchallenging, resilience is dormant. Resilience is only activated and expressed during difficult times. And that's why you won't even know that you have it until you face a challenging situation. So the next time you encounter problems, view them as an opportunity to develop, if you don't already have it, or to perfect it if you do. Resilience, perfect resilience. Here's the other thing about resilience. Resilience requires creativity and adaptability. It requires creativity. If you're going to bounce back, recover, be able to continue to go on and face adversity, it requires creativity and adaptability. It is needed when the next move is not obvious to you. You have to be very creative. You've hit a roadblock and there are no apparent solutions. And so a resolution will require imagination and enterprise. When you're going to get a real solution, it requires imagination and enterprise. It requires creativity and adaptability. Resilience, thirdly, necessitates stamina and endurance. If you're going to be a resilient person, it necessitates stamina and endurance. Some problems are quickly resolved, and others require, and they may require very minimal resources, but others will tenaciously linger and drain resources. And the latter just require doggedness and perseverance, attributes that are found in resilience, where you've got to have pertinacity. You've got to have this stick-to-itness that allows you to hang in there. This resilience necessitates stamina and endurance. And then resilience is sustained by optimism. It's impossible to be resilient if you lose your hope. Pessimists are unfamiliar with resilience because they give up too quickly, and they acquiesce to the problems, and they can't imagine a better future. But optimists see setbacks as temporary, and they see setbacks as solvable. You have to be optimistic. Resilience is sustained by optimism. The only reason that the resilient person refuses to give up, and they have this ability to spring back and to recover from misfortune and they can go ahead and face adversity is because of their optimism that if I keep trying them, I'll break them down, and then one day this thing is going to change. I'm going to be able to make it. I cannot give up. I've come too far. I put too much time and energy and effort into this. I know that love wins in the long run. At the end of the day, they must eventually succumb to the incredible, irresistible power of love. Love is a force. It is a force. You can only resist it so long. And resilient people have this optimism about them to know that everybody at some point is going to be hungry for this love, and they're going to come running after this love. They cannot resist it but so long. Leo Buscaglia said, don't hold on to anger, hurt, or pain. They steal your energy and keep you from love. Don't hold on to anger, hurt, or pain, because they steal your energy and keep you from love. To be kept from love is to be in a dark place, in a really dark place. But love requires resilience. And then love will ask you to step out of your comfort zone. Love will ask you to step out of your comfort zone. It really will. It will ask you to step out of your comfort zone. Love is not always a comfort zone. Love can put you into some very uncomfortable positions. And thirdly, love will ask you to sacrifice and compromise. It will ask you to sacrifice and compromise. And let me just say this. If you cannot sacrifice and compromise, you're not ready for love. If you can't sacrifice and compromise, you're not ready for love. Love demands that you sacrifice and compromise. I don't mean compromise the integrity of who you are in the Word, but I mean in terms of that it's always got to be your way. It doesn't always have to be your way. Love will sacrifice and say, you know, okay, I'm going to compromise. You know, we'll do it your way this time, we'll do my way next time, or my way this time, we'll do it your way next time. It compromises. It compromises, not your values, but it compromises your preference on particular things. And my question to you, you know, is, you see, the love that we have toward other people is based on how we've learned to love ourselves. So my question to you is, do you love yourself properly? Yes. Do you love yourself properly? And are you aware that you can only love other people to the degree that you love yourself? You love your neighbor as you love yourself. So if you've never learned to love yourself, you won't know how to properly love your neighbor. People that do heinous crimes, it is a reflection that they don't like themselves. People that beat other people, that abuse other people, that molest other people, don't feel good about themselves. It is the loudest message that I don't feel good about who I am. I don't like myself, and therefore I project what I can't stand in me. I project it off on others because I don't like myself. That's why it's dangerous to find people who don't like themselves in our society, because nobody is safe as long as somebody in your neighborhood does not like themselves, because they will molest, they will abuse, they will rape, they will assault, because they have an issue with themselves. People who love themselves and feel great about themselves also know how to love others that they're in relationship with. Esteem means to regard or respect. It means to regard with respect and also to appreciate. When you esteem someone, you regard them with respect and you appreciate them. So remember, the term is actually self-esteem. Stop looking to somebody else to get your esteem. It's called self-esteem for a reason. And if we do not esteem ourselves, regard ourselves with respect and appreciation, it means that we're going to be abusive to others that we're in relationship with. That's why you have to love yourself. When you love yourself, you esteem yourself. You have good self-esteem. There's a reason that it is called self-esteem. And just because we're called to deny ourselves and to follow Christ does not mean that we ought to fail to love ourselves. You're supposed to love yourself, because if you don't love yourself, you won't know how to love your neighbor. You love your neighbor as you love yourself. Now I want to talk for a few moments about the languages of love. We've all heard about the 5 love languages. And to look at those love languages, not only in terms of ways that we love others, our fellow man, brothers and sisters, a spouse, but also how the love language, I want you to think of this love that you have, not only toward others, but think of it in terms of the love relationship that we have with God. How do we love God? And the first one I would say is communication, or words. Words. Communication is the basis of relationship. If you claim to have a relationship with somebody and you all never talk, that's a fantasy. I mean, it's honestly a fantasy. You've got this imaginary person in your mind, and you think that you're in a love relationship with somebody who never talks to you. Communication is the basis of relationship. The word communication comes from the Latin word communicare. The root of it is common ground. It means that there's something that you and I share in common that gives us a basis of something at least to talk about. If nothing else, it says that we're in the same place. We've attended the same church. Immediately, because all of you are here at Word of Faith Family Worship Cathedral, you have a common ground. We're all right now on common ground. If you had nothing else in common, that gives you the basis of communication. You could go out to a restaurant and have a conversation with anybody who's in this place tonight, because you got common ground with them. And you can discuss what I said, what I didn't say, how I said it, how I didn't say it. You know, you at least have common ground. It's like, can you believe what he said tonight? You know, but at least you've got common ground. You've got common ground. It is the basis of communication. It's the basis of relationship. To be able to speak. Think about that. What kind of a relationship do you have with anybody that you don't ever talk to? You never text them. You never call them. And let me just tell you this, when you're in a love relationship, they need to hear your voice. Sometimes they need to hear your voice. You know, you got to wonder, because who is this? That is so impersonal. They need a love letter, intimate conversation. They need pillow talk. But sometimes that the communication is just the sweet nothings. It's not that you're talking about something of great substance. You know, when you first fall in love with somebody and you're just hanging on the phone, and then it's like, you hang up first. And it's like, no, you hang up first. No, you hang up first. And it takes you 20 minutes to hang up the phone. You're just dragging on. You just hate to cut off the communication. You just feel connected, even if y'all are just listening to each other breathe. I used to listen to my older brother. He would just be in another room on the telephone, and they would just be like long periods of silence. And every now and then I just hear, and I was younger. I was trying to figure out, why aren't they having conversation? I couldn't understand it. And then I cannot tell you the number of times that I've been into a restaurant, and I'm in the restaurant, and I see two elderly people sitting there having a meal, and they don't say a word to each other. And I'm wondering, do they like each other? Do they even know each other? And you can tell that and sometimes, I've even remarked about it to my wife. My wife said, they've said everything. It seems like there's nothing more to say. They've been together so long, they've said everything. And my wife knows that if I'm not talking, I'm not feeling well. You know? So, but I'm just wondering, but you know, at the same time, they are communicating without opening their mouth. Remember this, we communicate by word, we communicate by spirit, and we communicate by gesture. And sometimes it's just that they're sitting up. I've seen senior citizens in a pickup truck. And the woman, I was like, which one of y'all are driving? I'm like, is she sitting in his lap or what? But see, that's a communication. They are communicating that I love you. Sometimes the hands just touching like that, that's the way that they are communicating. They are communicating. They can just look at each other. You know, when you really know somebody, when you've been with them for a while, you can look at their eyes and tell whether they like something or whether they are disgusted. They don't even have to open their mouth. You are communicating by word, by spirit, and by gesture. We actually have 4 means of communication: word, spirit, gesture, and blood. Because disease is communicated by blood. It's amazing. So you can communicate in a wide variety of ways. So all relationships, love relationships, communicate in some way. There is some kind of communication that is the basis of a common ground between each other. Here's another communication method: is affection. It is affection. Some people are terribly affectionate and some are not affectionate at all. But you have to love God with your heart, mind, soul, and body. And sometimes home isn't 4 walls or brick and mortar. It's 2 eyes and a heartbeat. It's just being with each other. It's being able to feel each other. It's just being able to be close to each other. And see, that's why there is a proximity. You know that in the scripture it said, greet the brethren with a holy kiss. You know, we had to stop that in America, because you know we didn't know how to interpret the context of that, and you know people like, well, what you trying to manage coming up on my wife? But see, in the Bible, you see, is an Eastern book that we read with a Western mindset, and obviously their greeting with the kiss was a different kind of thing, and so you know we had to make some adjustments in our culture, because it started offending some people and it got out of hand. But all love has to have some way of affection, and generally one party is going to be a little more affectionate than the other. And different people have different love languages, and affection may be one person's love language but may not be the other. And these are the people, you know, that you see that walk down the mall, you know, all the fingers interlaced. It could be 157 degrees. And they're just walking down with their hands, you know, and they got their hands around the other person with their hands out in their pocket, you know. They're just affectionate, you know. Just affection is a sign of their love one for another. One is communication, the other one is affection. Here's a third way: is service. You find some way of serving. There's some people's their love language. They get up and cook. They will clean. They will babysit. They will paint the walls. They'll cut the grass. You know, and that's their way of saying that I love you. Some men's way of saying that they love it is like he goes and fills her car up with gas and washes it. He comes back, but he may not want to hold your hand. He may not have 2 words to say to you, but that's his love language. And this woman may get up and fix breakfast, and she may vacuum the floor and clean the tub and everything, but don't put your hands on me. And it's service. That's a love language. That's a beautiful love language. It is, and it's a necessary love language. It really is. But it's a love language. And if we love God, not only do we communicate with Him and verbally express our worship toward Him, we do that, and we're affectionate toward God. One of the words for worship in the Greek is the word proskuneo. It means to kiss towards. To kiss toward. And so there's an affection even in our worship toward God. But then there's a service. To worship literally means to serve. Serve the Lord with gladness. So there's a service. There's a service that we have. And then another love language is gifts. Gifts. And this will cost you money. It may cost you creativity. But it's gifts. It's gifts. And this is why people in their love language, I mean, they're like, I mean, if you didn't get me a birthday gift, and an anniversary gift, and a just because gift, they feel like something is wrong because that's their love language. And isn't it interesting that we normally communicate to other people in the love language that we like to receive ourselves? But it creates some question about whose love is stronger when this one is communicating it through a gift and this one is communicating their love language through their service. Both of them are an expression of a deep affection of love that they have in their heart. It's just a different language. It's a different language. I mean, so it's different. It's different if you are in one place and you come to America and I say good morning, and if I'm in Italy and it's buongiorno, and if I'm in a Spanish place and it's buenos dias. You go, it's the same message that's being communicated, but a different language. It's just a different language, just a different language. And so some communicate through their communication, some is just affection, some is service, some is gifts. And then the fifth one is time. And this time thing, not only is in sharing time, special time, making time to be with them, because you know some folks, if their love language is gifts, the person might have to work all the time and then they bring them a gift home. But the other person is like, I want you to be home. My love language is time with you. I don't want a vacation from you. I want a vacation with you. I want to spend time. I want you home every night as soon as you get off of work. But also, let me tell you what this time is. This time is also patience. It is patience. Nothing more demonstrates a greater manifestation of your love toward a person when you are patient with a person. Impatience makes you nervous about whether you're loved by this person. It's like, oh my God, this person is so impatient with me all the time. And patience, you know, if you go shopping, it is a form, if you don't like shopping and you go shopping with somebody, it's a form of death. You just go there and you die. You sit there and waste away. And it seems like forever, but that can be a great manifestation of love. You know, when men go shopping with women and you'll just find them sitting on a bench and they go to the next store and, you know, while she's in this place and he's just trying to find the next bench. He's a corpse. He's a complete corpse. But it is demonstrating his love by spending his time in what is valuable to her. And so it is a manifestation of love. It's impossible to serve God without verbally saying, God, Jesus, I love you. And without reaching out toward him, we lift our hands in worship, engaging our bodies, and then we serve him through serving others. And then we give gifts, the tithe, the offering unto him. And then we spend time with him in prayer, in worship, in reading his love letter to us. We invest time. Thomas Merton said that the whole problem of our time is not lack of knowledge, but lack of love. Not lack of knowledge, but it is lack of love. And I love something that St. Augustine said. He says, trust your past to God's mercy. Trust your present to God's love. And trust your future to God's providence. Trust your past to God's mercy. Trust your present to God's love. And trust your future to God's providence. When we walk trusting God, that right now, God, my times are in your hand. I'm yours and you're mine. This is a love affair, probably more than any other analogy in Scripture. It parallels the relationship between God and his church as a bride and a groom. It's a love affair. It is a love affair. And he's in love with us even when we are unfaithful to him. It's amazing. It is absolutely amazing. Even when we've neglected to him, even when we've gone days and weeks without speaking to him, God says, I'm still madly in love with you. And I'm not going to give, because God has incredible resilience. He believes in us, even when we don't believe in ourselves. And you know what? I believe that God wants to so demonstrate his love to us so that he ultimately demonstrates his love through us. And that the very love and patience that he's exhibited to us, he gave gifts unto men. God has served us with so many things that we didn't even deserve. And he's saying, I want to show you how to love so that you can love those that you can see. Because really the truth of the matter is that if we can't love our brother and sister that we can see, we have no right to even say that we love God that we cannot see. But we demonstrate our love for God through loving the people that are created in his image. And if you can't like what you see in the mirror, that is the image of the reflection of the glorious Lord, how can we say that we love the Lord when we don't love his image into which each one of us is made? And I just pray that we will just grow in our ability to be able to be an expression of God's love in the earth, because the world is a very cold place and a dark place and a dog-eat-dog world for so many. And you never do know how somebody just needs kindness and love to be expressed from our life to come to theirs. And we represent him in the world. We are the eyes and only hands and only feet and only tongue that the people in the world will ever experience. They will know that we are his disciples by the love that we carry on the inside of us. I pray that you got something out of the word of the Lord tonight.
Thank you for watching Power for Living with Bishop Dale C. Bronner. Join us again next time for Power for Living, where revelation is power. Power for living.